Good afternoon and good morning, good evening to those who are joining us from different parts of the world. I welcome you to our webinar during International Women's Month. My name is Betha Dlamini. I am the founding president of African Women in Energy and Power. We are delighted to host you today as we showcase women who have achieved magnificent strides in the energy and power sector through enterprising. Today we have a list of entrepreneurs that will be giving testimonies, and I just want to highlight the countries that will be participating. We have Malawi, we have Angola, we have Tanzania, we have Mozambique, and Lesotho and Eswatini that will be joining the webinar. International Women's Month is quite an important month in the celebration of women's achievements in industry. The 8th of March marks the global celebration of women's achievements in different sectors of economy. And I just want to quickly share with you some of the insights that this year's celebration wanted us to celebrate. It questions, imagine a gender equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination, a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive, a world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge women's equality. Collectively, we can achieve equity across industries. And so we selected these webinars to put a spotlight on women's success, women's achievements, and we will be celebrating women coming from those countries that I listed. I want to encourage you to also choose a language of your preference. We've got 2 countries whose official language is Portuguese. So if you're joining us from Angola, from Mozambique, or anywhere in the world, and your preferred language is Portuguese, please go to the toggle. We've got an interpreter who is going to help with translation so that you can enjoy the webinar in the language of your choice. If you're comfortable with English, just stay on the English channel. On a monthly basis, we invite stakeholders from the energy ecosystem to share with us insights of our evolving energy system on the continent. We do this so we can expose entrepreneurial opportunities for women, youth, and persons with disability. We believe that with such knowledge, women, youth, and persons with disability will be able to organize themselves to partner, to form commercial vehicles that they can bid in the private and public sector to organize, to win, and secure a share of the market of evolving energy entrepreneurship opportunities on the continent. In this next 2 months, we will be focusing on the Southern African Power Pool. This month and today, we are focusing on entrepreneurs coming from the Southern African Power Pool. We've been showcasing women entrepreneurs from the Southern African Power Pool since February, and this is our 3rd webinar, and we've enjoyed great success learning from their experiences. I invite you to remain on muted so that we don't have audio interference. As we progress with the webinar, I also invite you to use the chat platform to introduce yourself. We use the chat platform as a networking platform. Introduce yourself and your company. Our esteemed speakers and other delegates will connect with you and exchange contact details with you on the chat platform. As our speakers present and you wish to pose a question to a specific speaker, we invite you to use the Q&A platform. As you type and deposit your questions there, our speakers will be able to address and answer those questions live. Today, we are very happy to have the following speakers. We have our sponsoring OEM, Original Equipment Manufacturer, Rockwell Automation. We are grateful to have them on board. They have been of great support of the AWEaP series of webinars, and they will be sharing insights on access to technology and some of the projects that they are delivering in the region. We have Ms. Inka Shuma, who is coming from Distill Inclusion. She will be sharing insights from a research recently performed on the participation of women in the renewable energy sector. These presentations are critical because it reminds us of the gap that exists in the market, and our initiatives together with our supporting stakeholders attempt and endeavor to close the gap. We have a speaker from Trade Invest Africa, an entity or an agency of the DTIC in South Africa, Department of Trade, Industry and Competition in South Africa, who will be sharing insights from the African Free Trade Continental Agreement. We believe that this was important because as we grow our enterprises as women entrepreneurs, it is important to consider how we can grow into other markets in the region and beyond. And the African Free Trade Continental Agreement has got supportive structures and interventions that enables entrepreneurs to trade across the entire continent. We also have a presenter from UN Women Generation Equality, and they will share programs that they are executing to support women's participation in the energy and power sector. After these presentations, we will enjoy testimonies from our entrepreneurs. I would just like to highlight to our admin who is helping us to just mute the audio. I am receiving feedback. We are very grateful for Bitech Technology, who is our IT company that helps us deliver very safe webinars that are sequenced. I invite you to take copious amounts of notes as we progress with the webinar and to enjoy the presentation. I invite to the first presentation, Ms. Amelia Georgiadis. I hope I pronounced it correctly. She's the account manager channel at Rockwell Automation, and she's going to speak on channel partnership with Rockwell Automation in Southern Africa. Ms. Amelia, please take over.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful forum. I feel privileged to be part of the South African Power Pool invitees, and feel overwhelmed to be chosen by you ladies. I'm not sure I can see gentlemen as well there, so apologies for that. I will do some show casting for the Rockwell Automation Channel Partner Program and how we support the small, medium, and micro enterprises in African markets. Please forward the slide. Thank you. So we, Rockwell Automation, we integrate control and information across the enterprise to help companies and people be more productive and sustainable. At Rockwell Automation, we are driven by innovation. Automation expands what is possible, and when machine operations perform as promised, the leadership and people are free to focus on the important stuff and what matters to their businesses. We can go ahead for the next slide. Thank you. Rockwell Automation, we are transforming industry through digital technologies. Combining industry manufacturing with the largest, thank you, with the largest digital technology, we solve challenges. We bring data, systems, and processes together to the entire organization so we can free the leaders or give the leaders the necessary information, relevant and reliable in the time they need it. And as a result, we bring the connected enterprise that creates more productive, efficient, and nimble business. Thank you. We can go ahead with the next slide. And this is us. Rockwell Automation is a $7 billion company. We are very large in America. 59% of our business is there. However, we hold the 78 or 79% of the industrial world there. The next biggest is EMEA, which South Africa is part of EMEA, followed by Asia Pacific and Latin America. In industry, we have hybrid industries servicing different streams. Process and discrete are next what we service. By segment, our main revenue comes from the intelligent devices, followed by life cycle services and software control. We've been in the business for 120 years. That's a little mistake there. I haven't corrected that because it was from a presentation I did last year. We are servicing more than over 100 countries across the globe, 25,000 employees. And if you can see on the bottom right corner, our share index on the US stock market is quite high compared to the S&P 500 index, which is a benchmark for 500 businesses all over the world, which are competing in sustainability and digital performance industries. Next slide, please. And this is us, how we do our sustainability projects. We were named to the Dow Jones Sustainability Index for the 10th time in 2020. The listed companies demonstrate best-in-class performance against numerous sustainability metrics, following a thorough analysis of economics, environment, and social practices. For almost 2 decades, we have been listed on the FTSE for Good Index series as well. This is a market-leading tool for investors seeking to invest in companies that demonstrate good sustainability practices and wish to encourage positive change in corporate behavior, again, strictly following environment, social, government criteria. We invested $256 million last year in diverse suppliers that included small businesses, veteran, minority, women, and LGBTQ-owned enterprises. Our commitment is to, and goal is to achieve net zero by 2030, and this reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, which obviously affect the climate changes. Next slide, please. Who is Rockwell Automation? The Rockwell Automation family of brands is Allen Bradley. This is our product portfolio, and these are the components integrated with control systems that will automate your systems and increase productivity. The software portfolio, it's called Factory Talk. It's just the slide before, please. Thank you. That is, seems like it doesn't want to stay there, but it's okay. I'll walk you through that. So Factory Talk portfolio helps you design, maintain, operate, and innovate your operations. The services that we provide, from the assessment to the implementation support to long-term maintenance, will be delivered by our lifecycle services teams. And the slide you're viewing right now, this is our partner network overview, which is the topic of our discussion today. What are the partner network values? We simplify, streamline access to the solution and services. We can save you time and we can reduce the workload. Through the Partner Network program, Rockwell Automation simplifies project sales, implementation, and support by offering a one-stop shop for the entire project lifecycle. We collaborate. Rockwell Automation and Partner Network members work seamlessly together. Our collaborative approach with each other and with customers enables us to deliver the most appropriate long-term solution with the most appropriate long-term value for the customer. Innovate. Rockwell Automation and our partners deliver cutting-edge technology with targeted solutions that optimize your automation investments and give you a competitive advantage. The reach of global cooperation combined with the industry-specific specialists help you obtain the correct solution, enable you to get products and services to market faster, reduce your total cost of ownership, and use your plant assets more effectively. Can we go to the next slide, please? So these are our partners, strategic alliances. Our strategic alliance partners demonstrate a strong global commitment alongside with the co-development of seamlessly integrated solutions and services. This is where we go and converge from operational technologies and IT information technologies through a digital transformation. Some of our strategic alliances are PTC is a digital technology and application leader. Cisco, it's a global leader in IT networking. Microsoft, a global leader in software. Accenture is a global leader in technology services and consulting, and others. Our system integrators have the industry and system expertise to design, build, install, maintain, and support their automation solutions. Our OEM partners provide high quality, innovative solutions by using our technologies to give competitive advantage to your projects. They deliver smart machines that would reduce your total cost of ownership optimize your productivity, and achieve sustainability. And next slide, please. The Ellen Bradley Authorized Distributor Network offers exceptional knowledge and service that helps customers design, implement, support their automation investments. They keep high level of inventory, they can train your staff, and they will bring your cost savings low. Our digital partners, the expertise includes, and it is not limited to, digital design, engineering, enterprise systems, cloud computing, industrial Ethernet of Things analytics, network infrastructure, industrial cybersecurity, and comprehensive professional service capabilities. Our technology partners work together with Rockwell Automation to provide proven, more integrated solutions that control the quality of the design and execution of the project. They have provided us with additional 1,171 lines of extra products, and obviously they deliver the technical services to the company as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. What are the priorities when you use our partners? They have the connected, you can experience the digital technologists and the excellent visibility from end-to-end supply chain, connected supply chain. They can deliver the omni-channel high quality experience, which you will see from your purchase to receive the order all throughout the several chains. They have full portfolio to our products, so that will be the automation software, the products and the services, the value-added services, which we have actually extended recently to them, complete the full portfolio reach, and the sales and marketing excellence that they're delivering by advertising our products and the cutting-edge projects is always there to support you and to bring your attention to what they can deliver. Next slide, please. Our program is designed to educate and produce highly qualified partners that are committed to enhance their competency and capabilities with the goal to help for the best possible solution with the least amount of risk. The program is tiered in 4 levels: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. The sales success is monitored as they grow their businesses and achieve revenue. They receive great awards from Rockwell Automation. Their competencies strictly monitored. We offer a wide range of training opportunities to help gain knowledge that they need to, that it is required to keep pace with the ever-changing technologies, advancement in the industries they serve. And the collaboration is the seamless adhesion to Rockwell Automation specialists, and our local relationships with channel partners are coupled to achieve the technical and commercial leading approach that is necessary in the industry and make you competitive. Our approach is to have achieved, could you kindly please just change to the next slide? We would like to extend our distribution network. We are responsible, we have 52 countries in Africa, not only South Africa, but all the rest. It used to be Sub-Saharan Africa. Now we have expanded to the rest of Africa. And I have listed a couple of things that are necessary for somebody to become a distributor of rock automation. Next slide, please.
Pardon us, Amelia. I think, okay, now we are able to change.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem at all. I can talk through the slides without the slides. I just want everybody to be able to see what I'm talking about. Thank you, Bertha. So we have very strict requirements to our distributors. Not only that the distributor has to be tax and trade compliant to the country, but they also have to show a strong and sound financial standing. They have to be prepared to invest in stock, invest in people, which we are going to train, and they have to be listed on the vendors list of the major end user accounts, and especially where we have rock automation install base. And how are we going to train our partner network? Next slide, please. We provide tools that our partner network can access. With the partner network portal, our partners can communicate, all agreements and contact lists are saved there. We train them with the Rockwell Automation University that has dedicated plans for training partners, distributors and system integrators. Our marketing platform called Seismic is a central hub which stores all the contemporary product presentations and news across the globe. On Course is a cloud-based system that we allow our partners and system integrators to train on physical or virtual equipment, and it is complimentary. Our Learning Plus program is also available to anyone to access at their own time, and has numerous training sessions that you can spend enough time there. Tech Connect is the last, well, not the last, one of the most extensive tools for training that we use to support the systems. And last slide, please. And this is us. So if you need us to meet your regularly compliance, or you want us to provide sustainable solutions, or to assist you with improved asset and production performance, predict failures, and have proactive approach into maintaining the uptime of your processes and machines, we can migrate your aging micro infrastructure, maintain it, upskill the workforce, and be with you all the way along as you need us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Amelia. I'm always encouraged by Rockwell Automation's presentation. I hope if you're interested to become a channel partner to Rockwell, you have received sufficient information to enable you to reach out to Rockwell Automation from whichever country that you have joined the webinar from, so that you can apply and submit the qualifying information for you to be considered to be a channel partner. Thank you very much for those insights. Our next presenter is Ms. Inka Shoma, who is going to share with us some insights from a recent research or study that they have performed. I'd like to remind our delegates that feel free to deposit your questions on the Q&A platform so that our speakers can address your questions. Also, feel free to share your contact details, introduce yourself on the chat platform so we can have a dynamic engagement on that platform. Ms. Inka is going to share with us outcomes from a study that was recently conducted that speaks to the participation of women in the renewable energy sector. Ms. Inka, take over.
Thank you, Bertha and team, and to the broader African Women in Energy and Power Network and all of you that are joining. So I'll be speaking to, in terms of the work that Distill Inclusion does in the space, and like Bertha already mentioned, a study that we did with Energia and Get Invest over the last year. So at Distill Inclusion, we're really focused on creating a culture of change in the infrastructure sector. We can move to the next slide. So I think I'm talking to the converted, but basically this is something that I think a lot of stakeholders in the infrastructure sector are still not fully understanding or are convinced. Gender and social inclusion is a fundamental human right. It is essential to create peaceful societies, leverage human potential. So if you're a company, in terms of your employees and your talent that you've invested in, and more broadly in sustainable development. And, we are seeing more and more infrastructure stakeholders really see this as an opportunity and not just a challenge or a tick box. And so we are working with those stakeholders as leaders, employers, entrepreneurs, and consumers, and really looking across that energy value chain. This is important because there is an estimation of a 6.3 trillion a year investment in infrastructure globally from 2016 to 2030. So we really need to think about who is gaining access to those decision-making positions, who's at the table, and how are those investments being made. And again, on that whole procurement conversation, and the entrepreneurship conversation that we're focused on today. So we know that in Saharan Africa, there's the highest rate of female entrepreneurship. So sub-Saharan Africa, so 26%. When we talk about women-owned or led micro, small, and medium enterprises, we know that there's a significant funding gap. So that sits at about 42 billion for that region. So you have that high tendency towards entrepreneurship, but you really see an underinvestment in access to finance and financial services and products. So that would be around literacy or around, business skills, etc., which is often really needed to be complementary to those access to finance aspects. We also know that if we go further down the value chain, we know that, the off-grid sector, customer reach is still lower for women. And that is important to consider because these technologies are assets, and they can also play a really important role in entrepreneurship activities, but also in terms of actually female entrepreneurs becoming retailers and growing their business around this new market. Recent work by the Efficiency for Access study finds that lighting appliances are still mainly serving a homogenous group that are male, that are educated and more affluent than the average person in a country. So that's really interesting to understand. If we can move to the next slide. I'll be keeping this brief, but it's just that we as Distill Inclusion are very focused on 7 areas: entrepreneurship and access to finance, which I'll be focusing on here. But we're also looking at employment skills, leadership and voice, gender-based violence, and livelihoods and productive use of energy, which often touches on the energy sector, and then community engagement. And our clients have been various international organizations. So we can move to the next slide. The way we're different from other organizations is that we really try to be nimble and in-country focused. So we want to draw on experts that really understand their country and their priorities. We also believe that gender equality conversations need to move from a mainstreaming discourse to a very technical discussion. So if we're talking about access to finance, we need people that are confident to speak to boards of financial service providers, or if it's working on agricultural value chains and to get women to be more productive from a mini grid that's been recently, built in a community. So we have those specialists and we bring them in for those projects and that work. If we can move to the next slide. Thank you. So I'm going to speak to the barriers of female entrepreneurs overall. There's really a strong overlap between energy and the barriers generally, but I'll start with some of the more high level ones, and we'll be hearing from female entrepreneurs themselves, and it'll be interesting to hear their reactions on that. There's no doubt that women in any sector are an important vehicle for enhancing economic opportunities. And so there's a lot of structural barriers that still remain that prevent women from scaling their enterprises, including access to finance, physical, human, social capital. It's who it's the assets you can leverage to build your business, and also your risk appetite and the perceptions you have about your potential to grow. But I have to also say that in our work, we don't necessarily want to say that every female entrepreneur should grow. It's just also understanding what different scales of businesses and the business owners, where they want to go on that journey. So some of the barriers that we found is the legal and regulatory. We know that some countries have very specific default rates, and that drives development banks and microfinance institutions to really chase a certain kind of entrepreneur with their financing. We know that product lines do not currently address the realities of female-led enterprises. They often have cumbersome application processes that are very time-consuming. So thinking about the linkages in terms of female entrepreneurs and their ability to keep filling out these forms. Sometimes there's arbitrary performance periods for a certain sector that women might not have. So thinking about that crossover, they might be really successful in other sectors, and what can the energy sector do there to enhance their participation and their interest in those opportunities. We know that venture capital does not yet recognize the opportunity of this segment. And there are cultural and technology barriers. So everything we know about cell phone ownership, access to internet, mobility constraints, that all comes home, particularly on that micro entrepreneurship side. And then banks, we know that in their portfolios, when we did this work, that they have spent very limited time serving women as clients and understanding the different needs and different aspirations. It might be increasing their income generation potential, or expanding into a new market, or getting access to new skills. And then also how technology plays a role there. There's bias algorithms for credit assessments, for example. And there's a very traditional way to evaluate risk. So we know that there's interesting work happening on psychometric analysis or non-collateral based lending. Which is interesting stuff. And then I think the business case for financing and support to this segment hasn't been fully cracked. And this is both with, financial service providers, but even the renewable energy companies that are retailing products to consumers. There we see very little attention. What we heard a lot is we either can run our business or we do gender. But what we're arguing is you actually do need to bring that together. And there's a lot of opportunity there. So if we move to the next slide. Yes, and I also just wanted to acknowledge that, you know, a lot of this research we did was during COVID, and we saw really significant impacts there in terms of female entrepreneurs being more impacted and also female employees. So Oxfam did a study that the losses there for women on the crisis was around $800 billion, right? So that's the GDP comparison of 98 countries. So really closures, looking at, you know, that resilience to shocks is also an important aspect to think about, especially in the context where we're all based. So I'm going to jump to a project example. I'm not going to be covering all of the work. I'm just going to touch on some of the findings, which I hope you'll have a closer look at. So this was work done with Energia and supported by Get Invest, and led by Distill Inclusion. So we looked at driving action on gender inclusive financing for women-owned or led micro, small, and medium enterprises in the renewable energy sector. And we particularly did look at that last leg in terms of, you know, off-grid products, but we did also look at some mini-grid projects and some other renewable energy projects. If we can go to the next slide. So this is to give an overview of kind of the focus area that we looked at. We looked at a specific ecosystem of financing for those WMSMEs. We looked at renewable energy gender lens investments, so those impact funds. They are providing finances for women-owned or led WSMMEs, either selling or distributing renewable energy. We looked at financial service providers. And when I say financial service providers, I mean banks, microfinance institutions, cooperatives, and fintech companies. And then we also looked at the renewable energy companies themselves, because I think what needs to be prefaced is that there often are not that many financial service providers, especially in a rural context. And then there was also you know, the crowdfunders and the grants, but we didn't look that much into that because we were really focused on long-term sustainability and scalability for the sector. So a lot of the work we see actually in the gender space is this crowdfunded and grant-led work. If we can move to the next slide. So we did about 28 stakeholder interviews. We looked at finances, donors, international development organizations, women-owned and led businesses themselves to capture the insights, and business associations. And what we basically found was that there's really a lack of sex disaggregated data on enterprise disaggregated data to help even quantify the financing gap. So we've got these big studies, MasterCard Foundation, et cetera, that look at that overall gap. But then if we look at it for the renewable energy sector, it's really hard to find data there. But we know that we can assume that it does exist. And this is for, you know, distributors, retailers, and consumers, right? This is really important for that value chain conversation. There's also very few scalable and replicable examples from financial institutions or supply chain actors. And what we see is, again, like I mentioned, that limited attention paid to profiling female entrepreneurs differently. They're often lumped together. There's, you know, just a generic capital needs assumption made at a lot of the stage of growth of a business. So that needs to change, and particularly for women, given just how diverse and different their lives are and their aspirations are. We can move to the next slide. Great. So I've already touched on some of this, but basically women are still, you know, there's unvalidated assumptions about women as customers. They're seen as a singular customer segment. And when I say customer, I mean, you know, from that medium enterprise level down to a consumer of an off-grid technology, right? We got a lot of feedback saying there's a lot of emphasis on solar lanterns, for example, and not a lot of emphasis on those technologies that might be more capital intensive, solar, water pumping, et cetera, but that actually kind of lead to more economic activity. some of the impact investors and financial service providers still perceive gender as only a social impact metric instead of a business performance metric. And then there's very little work happening in the renewable energy sector itself. What we found a lot was there's a lot in health and agriculture that's more advanced in terms of segmenting the market and delivering financial products and services for women in different ways. So we took this research and turned it into, we can go to the next slide, thank you, and turn this into a toolkit for these different actors so that they can address these issues. We can move to the next slide. So I'm going to just give you a quick intro on the toolkit. I'm very aware of my timing, I've timed myself. But if we can move to the next slide. Great. So what you can see is that it's interactive. It's available online, and I'll share those links with you in the chat, and they're also in the slide presentation. But basically, it's an interactive taskbar where you can kind of get an overview of the toolkit, and you can look for the areas you'd like to focus on. I'll run you over the business case of focusing on female-led enterprises, it's WSMEs. But you can also look at the ecosystem and the context. So this would be more regulations and the legal environment and policies. Then it's understanding that segment's demand for financing. Then there's also looking at supply side challenges. So, how you can actually change the regulations or the approach in terms of your products and services if you are a financier or a financial service provider. Then there's tools around building the business case and some conclusions there. And we have various case studies that we've drawn from Access Bank and other interesting stakeholders that showcase their work in the renewable energy space to try tackle this issue. So, why was it created? Because there are very little tools that really focus on that financing aspect for the renewable energy sector. And we think there's a big need to tackle this. If we can move to the next slide. Great. So if you're a donor, an impact investor, an off-grid renewable energy company, a financial service provider, or an international non-government organization, this is for you. I would say for all the female entrepreneurs in the room, have a look and see how this might resonate in terms of your experiences on accessing finance. And we hope we've kind of captured some of those experiences for you. So yeah, we can move to the next slide. There's various guidances. There's case studies, like I mentioned, from Dharma Life, Alpha Mundi Foundation, the KIT Access Bank work, Family Bank in Kenya, and the Frontier Markets India work. Every time we kind of preface who it is for, how it resonates and what those outcomes have been. And then there's also just different tools to understand, how you can tackle this issue and resources listed. We can move to the next slide and we can continue. So again, you are the converted, but we clearly outline here why this is an important segment to focus on in the renewable energy sector. Make up 50% of the population. There's a huge financing gap. 1 in 3, growth-oriented enterprises in the world are women. And I love this quote by Marie-José Nadeau, who used to be the former chair of the World Economic Council, saying there's a clear link between finding better energy solution for the world's poorest and having more female participation in the energy sector. We need to find the solutions for sustainable energy future that must be delivered by diverse voices, and that includes women. So we know that this segment lacks financing and that is hindering the growth potential. So when there's new developments like green hydrogen, who's able to capture those market opportunities? And yeah, we know that in sub-Saharan Africa, this entrepreneurship is a very key topic. Can move to the next slide. So women bring a unique value proposition in sales and distributions. they leverage existing networks. They're better positioned to gain entry into households and access female consumers. So now I'm speaking more kind of to that off-grid sector, but I would argue that argument can be made for other sectors beyond off-grid. They are key supply chain participants. Since they're key supply chain participants, focusing on women can help companies increase productivity and efficiency. And then gender inclusion not only improves internal operations, but it can improve business outcomes. But again, we need that data to make that business case further. If we can move to the next slide. And I'm going to just halt here. A lot of you can probably position yourself here as female entrepreneurs, but what we found is there's a lot of confusion on what actually qualifies as a micro, small, or medium enterprise. So what we've done here is very simply outlined, what is defined as a micro entrepreneur, a small enterprise, and a medium enterprise. And then, that helps also, kind of position both entrepreneurs, but also the access to finance providers in terms of, looking at how many employees, what is your turnover, what are these different dynamics that kind of shape your access to financial products and services. We cannot lump this all together. So do have a look at this, and I'd be interested to hear who we have in the room and kind of where you fit in terms of, loan size at origination, the total assets, the annual sales. And I know some of this is proprietary information, but this is always interesting to understand for the energy sector. If we can move to the next slide. Great. So this is just to show you where those resources are. We've got the research report, and then we have the interactive toolkit itself. And I encourage you to have a look at those resources. And hopefully they resonate with you. We've seen a lot of shift on the gender lens investing front, but that's been mainly on employment and leadership. And what we're really pushing for in this work is that there needs to be really that focus on financing and understanding that at those different levels. So both in terms of investors, the financial service providers, the renewable energy companies, and then at that consumer level. So with that, I will stop, and I welcome any questions or comments, and I'll shoot those links into the chat. Thanks.
Absolutely amazing and insightful presentation. I think often, especially with nonprofit companies that have devoted themselves to unlock entrepreneurial opportunities for women and youth and persons with disabilities in the energy sector, we are often asked the question, what is the business proposition? And I think the study has just captured that so clearly, that the ecosystem will lose out on an important segment of the population if we do not truly and deliberately implement interventions that ensure the participation of women in the energy sector, the accelerated support for their ventures, and to ensure that we can sustain their presence in the energy sector. Thank you so much for this insightful presentation and access to the toolkit and the report. I invite delegates to please follow the links that are going to be shared on the chat platform. And in your various endeavors in the sector, as you debate, argue, motivate for women's participation and for women's support, this is a resource you can use to validate your position. Thank you very much, Ms. Shuma, for that presentation. Our next presentation comes from Mr. Kelvin Pume. And I must express my heartfelt gratitude for Mr. Kelvin for making time to represent Mr. John, who is unable to join us and he's going to speak on the African Trade Continental Agreement, the support that exists for women entrepreneurs, building value-added networks in the trading environment on the continent. And therefore, I invite Mr. Kelvin, I hope he's online already, to share insights from the African Free Trade Continental Agreement. While we welcome Mr. Kelvin, can I just ask admin to reconnect the interpreter? She seems to be struggling with connectivity and is coming in and out of the webinar. Is Mr. Kelvin with us? While we wait for Mr. Kelvin, we will go straight to our most exciting segment of the presentation, which is the testimonials. Now, when we started the testimonials at AWEaP, truly what we wanted to surface was this authentic experience by SMMEs in Africa's energy and power sector, the challenges they face as they attempt to access market, technology, skills development, networks, finance, and credible market information that enables them to plan their journey into the energy sector. And over the last year, and even with our 2 last webinars, there were fascinating testimonies from entrepreneurs. So we're looking forward to the segment of the webinar where entrepreneurs from the different Southern African countries will be sharing their experience. We are going to start with Ms. Katie Mkandawire, and she is the director, Ndanga Engineers Company, and she is from Malawi. So we're going to start with her testimony and her presentation.
Oh, thank you once again. Hi to everyone. I'm Katie Mkandawire from Malawi, who happens to own this company called Ndanga Electrical Engineers. Yeah, let me start introducing myself on how I became an entrepreneur in the energy and the power sector. It all started with a passion. Go to the next slide. It all started with a passion to have on a trial basis on how I can also be part of the team to alleviate the social status of the rural area homes where the grid is not connected. Looking at the Malawi setup is we have less than 1% of the community of the rural areas that is connected to the grid. So looking at that, I looked at it as an opportunity to make business, an opportunity to actually penetrate and look at what can you do to be one of the contributors of alleviating the social status of the rural communities. So I looked at the rural setup as an opportunity to penetrate by establishing this a business. Being an electrical engineer, I knew I don't have the skills so much of solar photovoltaics. So I went to be trained at Mzuzu University, which is one of the universities that trains in solar PV technologies, and I registered to be trained. And I happened to get the skills of being a solar PV engineer. And I registered the company immediately after getting the skills and the training as a company called Ndanga Electrical and Solar Company in 2007. And go to the next slide. And working with local women, working with the youth in these rural areas setup, it was a passion that really moved me to say, no, let me do something as a contribution of my skills to the communities. So that's how I leveraged my skills and my experience to the rural area setup. And how did I access the market to say, I'm gonna do business. I'm gonna become an entrepreneur in the energy and power sector. It all started with volunteering to work with organizations in the renewable energy industry, where I wanted to get exposure. I wanted to have the experience of how the market is like for the energy sector. And then I worked as a volunteer, worked with different organizations where one of them was Young Electrical Contractors, Zozo Universities, their Department of Renewable Energy Studies. I've worked with a number of other organizations, the European Energy Center, where I got exposed to the market in developing business concepts as a volunteer. And that also opened up to the market where, because of the exposure, the experience that I got, I was being hired as an energy consultant, as an energy contractor to work on the electrical systems of a different number of companies. And working also with the local women, working with the youth, it helped me to also be identified as somebody who can also work as an entrepreneur in the energy and power sector, contributing to the energy access to others who don't have access to the grid. This, you can move to the next slide. This did not just happen because becoming an entrepreneur, doing business, running a company needs finances. And how did I happen to access finances? These finances to run my business have come from personal resources, where sometimes I do other business that are not related to energy to fund my company. And another avenue was after we get resources from the business that were done in the projects that were done, we would get resources from their profits that were made to reinvest into the business. And sometimes when you have got a project that you have bid and then you have been given contracts, you'd have no enough resources to really run the project, and you'd seek for support from family. So these have been the access points to finance my business of electric and solar contractors in the power and energy sector. We can move to the next slide. And running the business, it's especially when you're talking of the energy and the power sector. And I looked at it and said, but I need to have the skills. I need to really get access to the technology and network with other market players. And then I decided to get trained, to attend trainings that were relevant to what I wanted to venture in. And the skills I already had as an electrical engineer in the AC, alternating current, the grid supplies, installations, that I already had the skill. But I said, the other avenue is to venture into the renewable energy, and particularly the solar photovoltaics. And I registered to the relevant universities, and I've been to Zozo University, training on the same. I've attended trainings and business symposiums with the Southern Africa Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. I've gone to Kafue Gorge Regional Training Center, also for the same, to just boost my knowledge in the renewable energy skills and technologies. And I did not stop there, as I've also said I need to network because I can't work in isolation. Then I also took advantage of the trainings, the business symposiums, where you could showcase your products, you could showcase your services. That's where I started networking with the other market players. And that's how I had to have access to technology skills and the networks to grow the networks that I had. As an entrepreneur, you can't work in isolation. So that's how I had to have access to technology skills and networks. And doing business, and especially in the energy and the power sector, it's not an easy endeavor. you really need to be somebody who is always on the lookout for what is happening, what new is happening. And the technology is changing every time. You really have to be up to date. And I said, let me venture into that. Next slide, please. Running a business has got achievements, success stories, challenges, but in this, I would share on the achievements and success stories that so far I've had and I've seen on the market. Branding of my company, NDA Engineers Company, on the market because of being available in the exposure of what we're doing, what we are doing, the installations that we are having, connections that we're having, and customer loyalty. That has branded here in the company of NDA to be known on the market. And the confidence that our clients have in the jobs that we have done in the institutions, in their premises, in their businesses, that has also been one of the success stories, achievements that I can share. And just the youth and the local women that we've worked with in the rural areas by supporting them with foundational or basic knowledge of the electricity, that when other contractors or others have gone to do some connections, have made connections to their appliances, to their institutions, or in their homes, they should have that basic knowledge. They should have the basic understanding of what those guys are doing. In case something just small happens to break down in their system, they should not blame to say, oh no, I will not use this electricity again. Oh no, the solar PV systems don't work. So as a company, we said, no, why don't we work with the local women, the youth, so that we give them the basic foundational knowledge of electricity, so that when installed systems are not working, they should know, or they need to know how to report or what to report like, so that they are able to have this understanding. Then we work them and they are able to do basic maintenance on their systems. So that, to me, it's an achievement. It's a success story of what NDA electrical contractors have done. And the exposure that the works that we've done, the association, the networking of with other clients, with other customers, with other business fellows, has also really exposed our skills, our capability to do the works that we have. And on the next slide, I'm showing the brochure that shows really what NDA Electrical and Solar Engineers Company is like. We've been awarded the European Energy Center Mastership Award because of the volunteering that we have done with this organization. We are developing concept papers and working with the documentation that the European Energy Center in Scotland has been working with us. It was on a volunteering basis, but this volunteering base has made this company to really get exposed. Working with the SAPP, it has also made electrical and solar engineers be exposed. And this is a brochure, part of the activities and services that we offer as a company. We can go to the next slide. As an entrepreneur, for sure, you would agree with me that there are challenges that we tend to meet on the way. And some of them are highlighted here, which we work with the fellow members of staff and to retain staff on the market due to the instability. Sometimes you are not able to secure jobs, projects, contracts, and you still have staff that still have to survive at the end of the day. So that has not been an easy thing to continue working with the staff to keep them. And another one of the challenges as well has also been a lack of financing opportunities, where you have a project that you want to endeavor and then you don't have enough resources. And when you are accessing finances at the commercial banks, you find that the interest rates are very high, and you try to get from other lending facilities, which becomes really an issue for you to really continue operating a business as an entrepreneur under that situation. So most of the times you end up losing an opportunity because you don't have enough financing because of the size of the project that you want to endeavor. And another challenge is the unskilled and cheap labor that is working around in the field also poses a challenge to professionalism, because when you want to really execute professional work, you find the unskilled and cheap labor who don't have the real whys and the what need to be done on a project. They go and do shortcuts and charging the customers cheap, and then the customers tend to go to those guys because they're cheaper than you to do the professional job, which has got a quality and standard that is supposed to be maintained. So that has also been one of the challenges. And sometimes it's also the lack of exposure to the business incubators, the business accelerators on the energy and the power sector for like small, medium enterprises that have been run by us as entrepreneurs, especially women in the entrepreneurship in the power and energy sector. That has also been an issue. So also could be also that the exposure to know who are these and what are the conditions. The exposure to these has also been to network with these incubators and accelerators has also been an issue, which has really made us not to really progress in how we run our company. And basically running a business, like in running projects, running contracts on earnings that are coming from the same business has been really not as something that is motivating. So those I can share as some few challenges that we've met as a company. But we'll going to the next slide. I would say, yes, the challenges are there, the success stories are there, and the achievements have been there. You can really measure to say, yes, a milestone has been reached here, not really getting there, but something. We have also way forward to say, how can we do better on the market? And the way forward to continue operating on the market, to continue playing a part in contributing to the social economic status of communities elsewhere, and especially in the rural areas where access to electricity is really a big issue. And the passion to work with the rural setup, that's what has really been our business initiative that moves us keep going. It's putting way forward issues as in where do we find low interest rates money lending institutions than commercial banks. So we want to resolve, and we are in the process, we're doing it to get some money from lending institutions that have got a smaller interest rate. And another way forward is to continuously develop our skills so that the new technology in running a business as a power and energy entrepreneur, we need to match with what is happening elsewhere, not just getting comfortable in your comfort zone to say, I'm able to go and work and come back as long as I'm finding food on my table. That has also been something that has not motivated us. So we're still going ahead to say, how best can we do that? And going way forward, we want to recruit staff, skilled staff, only when we have contracts that were bid and were been awarded. So that's also another way forward, as in to run the business successfully. And one of exposure also of the company is to have more exposure to the global world, where I want to advertise more on the social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc., on a website, to put more of the products that we are doing, and even performances in the business plant symposiums where we can showcase what we are able to do, the abilities that we have as entrepreneurs in the energy and market in the energy and power sector. So that has also been an issue that is making us to say we are not stopping despite the economic challenges, despite jobs being scarce, but we'll endeavor looking at way forward on how we can move on as an entrepreneur in the energy and power sector, because that's a accredited sector that you cannot go wrong. And with the continuous learning, acquire knowledge, acquire your experience, you grow the business with new technology that is on the market, with software in designing, software in how you can appraise projects. So our company want to do better in how we do appraisal to commissioning of projects and handing over to our clients. We want to really look at it and move way forward in doing it better. And my contribution and sharing with you as in the journey in my endeavor as an energy and the power entrepreneur, it's what I've shared with you, part of this. And thank you again for paying attention to what we just discussed. Thank you very much.
Absolutely fantastic testimony. You've touched on the areas that we emphasize on: access to finance being a barrier for women to participate in the energy sector and other productive sectors, energy, access to networks, access to skills development, being given the opportunity to gain exposure into a broader network where you can showcase your services, your products, your solutions and systems, access to tools that can help you efficiently manage your business. Thank you so much for this testimony. I'm sure you have touched a lot of entrepreneurs that will learn and be inspired to follow in your footsteps. Thank you, Ms. Katie.
Thank you.
Our next testimony also comes from an entrepreneur from Malawi, Mrs. Linda Kanache Lanchesi, who is a renewable energy engineer, founder of Lay General Dealers. And she's also going to give her testimony. Ms. Linda, please take over.
Thank you so much, Madam Beth Lemin, my fellow delegates and the participants. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe good evening also. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Linda Kanache Langes, the founder of Lay General Dealers. I am a renewable energy engineer by profession. Next slide. My presentation will go through this outline: introduction, national energy policy, energy outlook on sources of cooking in Malawi, about our company, challenges and barriers, and networking and opportunities for women entrepreneurs in energy sector. Next slide, please. Malawi is amongst one of the lowest countries in the Southern Africa Development Community, with a low electrification rate estimated at 12.4%. Rural area and urban area electrification rate is being estimated at 3.9 and 4.87% respectively. In Malawi, we have a national generation company called Electricity Generation Company Limited, which has a generation capacity of 441.95 megawatts against the estimated power demand of over 529 megawatts as of March 2022. Would you go to the next slide, please? In Malawi, as any other country, we have a very good energy policy, which is also committed to achieve the targets of sustainable development goals. And this policy has been underpinned under the following guidelines, such as sustainable energy supply and services, energy efficiency conservation, sustainable energy for all, equitable and inclusive energy access, promotion of private sector participation, and good governance in energy services. Next slide. Would you please go to the next slide? So from the graph, we can see that the energy outlook for Malawi, for cooking in Malawi, almost 90% of the population relies much on firewood, and only 1% of the population relies on electricity for cooking. While 7% and 1% of the population, it uses other sources of cooking. Go to the next slide. And because of what we have seen from the previous slide, that most Malawians, they rely much on biomass for cooking, that motivated us to come up with Lay General Dealers as a company which focuses much on renewable energy. This company was established basically to bring sustainable solutions to the nation of Malawi. One of our products as Lay General Dealers is that we produce biomass briquettes, and we also empower low-income women with knowledge and skill in briquette making and marketing. We also offer renewable energy services such as consultancy, designing and installation of solar home-based systems. Next slide. Our vision as Lay General Dealers is to provide affordable, clean, and sustainable energy solutions to the less privileged household. We also equip low-income women and the youth with technology and skills in renewable energy technologies. Next slide. What we normally do is that we produce and sell briquettes, which these briquettes are primarily flammable fuel sources that are made from agriculture and forest residues. These briquettes are made from locally available materials. And we also equip low-income women with knowledge and technical skills on how to produce, how to use, and how to market the briquettes, so that we can also promote their social livelihood. As we can see from the pictures below, this is a woman. This is the way how most of the Malawian women conduct their cookings using firewood. So Lay General Dealers is here to bring sustainable solutions to replace the use of firewood for cooking. So as you can see, these are the briquettes that we are making, and they are user-friendly. They are user-friendly, they are environmental-friendly, and they are also affordable to use. And this woman, as you can see, she's exposed to air pollution. So we are here as Lay General Dealers to help these women in Malawi, especially those in low-income households, to use our briquettes unlike firewood, which affect their health. Next slide, please. The technical skills that we have as Lay General Dealers. I am a renewable energy engineer by profession. After I went to Nzuzu University to study renewable energy technologies, and to enhance my knowledge in renewable energy, I had an opportunity to enroll with SAPP Renewable Energy Entrepreneurship Support Facility, whereby we were equipped technically, and also through these trainings, I was able to come up with effective bankable business plans to source funding for the business. And we are also, through these trainings, we are able to conduct feasibility studies, planning, risk management, and how to effectively operate renewable energy technology projects. To add on that, these trainings, they have also enabled us to conduct effective designing, installation, and operations of mini grids. our market, as I've already mentioned, that our main focus is to provide sustainable solutions in regards to cooking. So we are mainly focusing on low-income households, especially in urban areas. And in the future, we are planning to reach out to rural areas, because in Malawi, especially the rural areas are the ones who are highly affected with the use of biomass for cooking. So our market growth and projection is as follows. As we are starting our company in 2019, we had only 100 customers. And as of 2022, we've managed to reach out to 800 households. And we are projecting to reach up to 15,000 households by the end of 2025. In this regards, it indicates that there is a market for renewable energy to replace the use of firewood and biomass. Go to the next slide, please. As any business, as Kate has already stated, that in each and every business, there are challenges. In our case, as lay general dealers, we also face challenges. Some of the challenges that we encounter include lack of financial support for business growth and development, lack of modern equipment, like in our case, the equipment that we are using to produce briquettes, they are locally made. So we are looking forward to have an opportunity to access funds and purchase modern equipment for our business growth. Another challenge is that most people, they are not aware about the importances of using briquettes instead of firewood. So we need much publicity as a nation to inform households the importance of using modern technologies for cooking. Another challenge is low adoption rate of the technology. It takes time for people to accept this technology of briquettes, but we are hopeful that a lot of households, they are going to adopt this technology. And there is also another challenge concerning lack of conducive environment in bidding procurement processes. In Malawi, you struggle to have an opportunity to be successful when bidding for a project. Go to the next slide. On networking and opportunities, as I mentioned before, that we had an opportunity to take part in sacred training as such AWEaP facility, which aims at providing technical support and mentorship to women entrepreneurs. And through these trainings, we were well equipped, and we had also an opportunity to interact with our fellow women entrepreneurs in SADC region. And through these trainings, we were able to learn various skills on how other entrepreneurs they are doing in energy sector businesses. And in this regards, I would like to encourage my fellow women who are dreaming to be entrepreneurs to register to these sacred trainings. These trainings are offered annually, and their priority goes to women entrepreneurs. Next slide. This marks the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. You know, on the continent, 900 million people have no access to clean cooking energy. And what you have started in Malawi, and I'm sure you will connect with other women that are engaged in similar enterprises, it will begin to address this gap, providing clean cooking energy to households across the continent. Congratulations on delivering such needed interventions in Malawi. Our next entrepreneur is from Tanzania, Ms. Messi Chilumba. She is a director under Guest Technology. She's going to share her testimony as well.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
But I think it's best if you're not on video.
All right, all right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, Miss Messi, your volume is very low. Are you able to increase your volume?
Okay, good afternoon.
Yes, that's a lot better. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Mercy Chilumba. I'm an engineer by profession. I'm a director of Guest Technology Company, Tanzania Limited, and a network member of TAWET, Tanzania Women in Energy Network. In Tanzania. Next slide, please. I have a bachelor degree in environmental engineering from University in Tanzania, and I also equipped with a master degree on oil and gas engineering from China University of Geoscience from Hubei province in China, which I attended for 3 years from 2014 to 2017. But also I've attended some training and courses that were facilitated and financed by SAPP. I managed to attend renewable energy online trainings, and also I visited the on-site training on the SADC Center that is in Zambia, KGRSTC, where I got a different knowledge that have made me more confident as a woman entrepreneur, and also give me a wide chance to engage in renewable energy sector of business. Next slide, please. Well, let me share you my employment and business history. As soon as after I graduated my first degree, I managed to work at Exim Bank in Tanzania. This was an amazing catch-up. As an engineer inside the bank, I was feeling so honored. And this bank, they were dealing with green finance. So I worked at the credit department as an EHS compliance. I was handling the green finance to ensuring the banks that they finance the low to medium impacts project to the environment. So as an engineer, I managed to work at a bank for a period of 1 year. I was reporting directly to IFC and Propaco, the part of the World Bank. And then later, next slide. On 2019, and after Exim Bank, I went to do my master studies at China University of Geoscience, whereby I undertake oil and gas engineering for 4 years, and then come back to Tanzania, whereby we managed to open a company known as AWEaP Technology that started operating on 2019 to date. What we are doing in AWEaP, we are the first private company to convert vehicles, enabling the vehicle to use natural gas that is available in Tanzania. We enable the vehicle to use the natural gas, that is CNG, compressed natural gas, that is available locally without harming the original system of the vehicle. We use natural gas simply because it is cleaner energy compared to other fossil fuels, like diesel and petrol and other heavy fuels, but it is also affordable. It's affordable at a cheaper price compared to other imported fuels. At the local resource, the natural gas is sold at a price that is cheaper, nearly 1,550 Tanzanian shillings. It's less than $1, almost around $0.6. And also natural gas is safe, that is methane. So its flammability limit is lower compared to other fossil fuels. So what we do, next slide. We convert a vehicle, we just put an additional system. We equip the vehicle with a storage cylinder, as it is shown in the picture, that is type 2 CNG cylinder. And we put the pressure reducing device, as the natural gas is compressed at a higher pressure. So we put reducing devices to a vehicle to make a pressure lower to meet the working condition of the vehicle. We put the injection systems and the fuel receptacle. That the red part is where a customer come to the station, and then we refill the gas to a lower pressure side and higher pressure side. So the two pipes one going to the cylinder at the back, and the other one to the reducing devices. After the pressure has been reduced to a normal working pressure of a vehicle, it goes to the injection system of the vehicle, and the driver can run the vehicle safely. If you can show that the video, there's a video showing how the gas is filled in the vehicle, please. And then as our company, we managed to convert more than 1,000 vehicles, which are running with a natural gas current in Tanzania. And upon reaching that number of vehicles, we managed to open our filling station on 2021 September. This marks the first filling station, natural gas filling station, that is owned by a private company. In Tanzania, there exist only 2 filling stations for natural gas. One is owned jointly by a private company and the government, and another one is this one that we own as our own filling stations. Actually, the business is growing. It's not bad. With the frequency of refilling, we can refill more than 300 vehicles when the peak business days, but normally we refill 200 to 250 vehicles at our stations. But the advantage is the saving is more than 55% when the vehicle drives with a natural gas compared to petrol at existing price in Tanzania, because one kilo of natural gas is sold at 1,500, while the driver can use 1.5 liter petrol to go similar distance. So the natural gas usage is cost effective for more than 55%. Next slide, please. And this is our station, existing station. We have a containerized station which have all equipped with all 3 dispenser, compressor, and storage inside. And we have engaged, we are working with many female operators, as you can see in the pictures. To work with natural gas, it's safer compared to petrol stations, which are the leaded fuels. So the natural gas is a cleaner technology. It's safe and it's easy. The technology is adaptable to women to work compared to other technologies. Next slide. Our company have seen an opportunity to expand to clean cooking technology. Over 90% of Tanzanians cook on traditional methods of cooking that are not safe for the environment. So we as a company, we see the need to engage ourselves in clean cooking sector, and we started the movement, and now we have the technology, group cylinder technology, that we can provide natural gas to households to make the to make the community use the natural gas, but also with our core company, we have seen the problem of the market, like the existing LPG stoves at the market are a bit stressful once finished for a normal Tanzanian to repurchase. So it gives a room for them to go back to use the traditional ways, because existing sizes, or the smallest one begins with a 6 kilo that is available at 24,000 Tanzanian shillings. So once this one finish, someone is take a period to collect again the money to go and purchase the new tanker. But with our technology, someone can use a clean cooking technology at an affordable rate with a minimum less $1 per day. Next slide. So we are going to install natural gas indoor. We're using the group cylinder technology. It's been shown that the cylinders on the previous pictures. They distributed to the houses where we can use for cooking, and also to bathroom to make a hot water, even kitchens to make a hot water. The natural gas can also be used in the domestic at a cheap and affordable prices, considering the fact that the natural gas is available here in Tanzania at a cheap price. Next slide. And this is the picture that's showing the portable LPG stoves that we as a company, we are going to provide to the community with this small can of 220 grams. For a normal Tanzania can cook to 6 to 7 meals. That makes 2 days, 2 to 3 days maximum, at only 2,500 Tanzanian shillings. So this technology, we are going to implement this technology to engage in clean cooking, whereby we can refill the small cans and to make them accessible to end users, because with this technology we can sell even to street shops, because the challenge is to reach many people in rural areas with the available or existing LPG cylinder sizes in Tanzania. It's a bit stressful. So with this technology, with this new innovation in this cooking industry, we believe we can service many. We believe we can reach many women, many households, whereby we can minimize the health problems associated with the dirty cooking technologies, and also many can afford. Next slide, please. And that, on conclusion, is we all are there to access to clean energy. As one of UN goal, we are required to effectively engage women within the energy sector as a primary method of reaching sustainable development and to improve their health. So African women practitioners and women leaders, we stand as key and primal players to achieve all 7 SDGs for the best. So I encourage all my fellow women entrepreneurs in Africa, let's keep investing, let's keep working in this business so as to ensure that we provide good health and well-being, affordable and clean energy. We provide a gender equality, like we create many job opportunities to our fellow women and young ladies. We provide them with a decent work and economic growth, because once a woman get employed and the income is for the family and the country at large. So we save the time for them to go and fetch the firewoods, so they can have the ample time for their socio-economic development. And also we have to we also have to be responsible consumption. We ensure the responsible consumption and production, as well as we fight on the climate changes. So I encourage women to keep on working, and funders keep on investing on women in energy businesses so that we can grow together and reach far. Finally, I would like to welcome all of you, Tanzania. Welcome to Invest. Welcome to Tanzania. Next slide.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm quite excited by your presentation, making strides in a very difficult sector, but also leading. It is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and being a trailblazer in natural gas in Tanzania and in the region. This is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. And I am sure that the women and entrepreneurs that are attending the webinar have been inspired by your bravery to take on this very complex challenge to lead the natural gas space in vehicle fueling and providing clean cooking energy, clean, affordable cooking energy for households. Indeed, we need to unlock the time that women spend fetching wood by providing clean, affordable energy conveniently so that they can focus on other areas of development and contribution to the economy. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Our next testimony comes from Mozambique, and it is with Ms. Eugenia Langa, founder and CEO of AWEaP. And she will also give us her testimony.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and hello to all the participants in this webinar. I am Eugenia Langa, and I will be sharing some of my professional experience so far. So can you please go to the next slide? Yes, thank you. I am a Mozambican, 35 years old. I am a mother of 2 boys with 3 and the youngest with 5 months. I did my studies in civil engineer in Mozambique and specialized in international professional procurement. And I found my passion in supply chain, and 7 years ago, I started my own company, AWEaP. Next slide, please. The entrepreneur vein started at ages 12 when I started to making some handcrafts with beads under the influence of the Swaziland culture. Initially it was for my own consumption, but quickly received the orders from friends and neighbors. At 21, I started working in a construction company where I was responsible for the operational department that included supply chain management. In that department, in procurement and logistics, is where I found my passion for my work. And I quickly identified some gaps in the market to satisfy this sector. And then the idea of creating AWEaP. AWEaP is a procurement and logistics company that provides services for the sectors of construction, oil and gas, mining, and energy. So we basically we provide all types of goods, equipments, PPEs, and etc. for the projects in Mozambique, and we do this from supplying from all over the world, and we also include the logistics dealing with the shipping, dealing with custom clearance, and etc. Next slide, please. So AWEaP, from paper to reality. It was at the beginning of 2016 that I felt that I had nowhere to grow, nowhere else to go to grow at the company where I was working. And I thought there was much more to explore in the area of procurement and logistics. So I started designing the concept for AWEaP, and in August of the same year, I decided to dedicate 100% to the company. So I made the initial prediction of staying 3 months with that salary, but I ended up staying almost a year. So you can imagine the frustration, the anxiety, the insecurity that came along with that financial gap that I had. So the support from my husband and family was essential when I wanted to give up. And today I'm happy that NUEBA is a reference in the Mozambican sector and providing service for this main dominated sector. Next slide, please. So through my journey, I always wanted to be the individual of the scenario B, AA, I mean. When I always thought about giving up, I always thought that if I hold on for a few more days, a few more months, I will have a good answer. So I always try to be the individual one in figure A, and that's for that reason I achieved some big things in the company, such as, next slide, please. In 2018, the company received the International Star for Leadership in Quality as recognition of continued effort towards the best practice in procurement services. In 2019, I myself, as a CEO of NUEBA, I received the Outstanding Woman in the Oil and Gas Sector Award due to the investments in compliance, quality, and commitment to my suppliers, especially in the local market and women empowerment. In 2020, the company received the Made in Mozambique certification as a 100% Mozambique company, and that promotes service with international standards. In 2021, I myself, again, as the CEO of NUEBA, I was listed as one of the 100 outstanding females executives in the oil and gas industry by African Shoppers magazine. And in 2023, the beginning of this year, the company received the ISO 9001 certification by Boreal Veritas. This was a very important achievement for the company and for myself as well, because as you may know, this energy, the oil and gas sectors are very demanding of terms of certifications, especially the ISO certifications. So for us, women lead company, a Mozambican company, a small company, to gain this certification was a big mark for us, and beginning of a new chapter, because we believe that this certification opens another doors in terms of opportunities to be part of the big projects. Next slide, please. But as many of my colleagues already shared here, not every day is a sunny day, especially when you are women in the male-dominated sectors such as construction, oil and gas, mining, and energy. And during my trajectory, not every day was one of context. In fact, most of them were challenged and continue to be until today. There is still a lot of gender discrimination. One of the introductions here mentioned that the access to financial, the access to business opportunities, it seems like we as women need to work as twice as much to show that we are worth the job, that we have capabilities. And some of the opportunities they are given to us is because they need to tick the box in terms of working with the female lead companies. So by then I understood that to swim with sharks, we must reinvent ourselves. Next slide, please. So the secret formula to success for myself, I believe there's persistence, strength, discipline, and above all, passion. We need to be passionate about what we like, about what we do, because without passion, there are days that we wake up without the strength to do it, we will wake up without the motivation to do it. And then passion and discipline will be the ones keeping us there and keeping us striving. So my recommendation for everyone that's going through this and that they know about these challenges is to never give up. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this image represents what I am and where I'm coming from, the past, the present, and the future. The future for me will be NUEBA to be a #1 company in Mozambique for procurement and logistics. So thank you everyone.
Thank you so much. Indeed, we must have the confidence and the courage to determine where we want to be as entrepreneurs. We congratulate you for persevering through a year of no income until you got your breakthrough and you're on a good trajectory. Thank you for that very passionate testimony. And I'm sure you have touched a lot of entrepreneurs who are going through the same starting hardships where you don't have an income. And truly the key is not to give up until you get your breakthrough. Thank you so much for your testimony. The next testimony would come from Ms. Matsepiso Majoro, founder and CEO of Mahlasedi Energy. She is from Lesotho and she will give her testimony.
Good morning, everyone. Good day. My name is. Am I audible, Betha?
Yes, you are audible. You are definitely audible.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Matsepiso Majoro. I'm the founder and CEO of Mahlasedi Energy. Today I'm going to speak about. I'd like to thank African Women in Energy and Power for this opportunity to share our journey as Mahlasedi Energy. And today I'm going to speak about our entrepreneurial journey. Can you pass to the next slide, please? So I'm going to talk about, this is how my agenda is. I'm going to talk about us, our entrepreneurship journey, an overview of our products and services, and then access to finance, markets, and also access to technology. But I would like to share first why I started this company, or what motivated me. Well, since my childhood, my grandparents stayed in the rural communities of Lesotho. So all the time, during the holidays, I would visit the rural communities. You find that the school is too far from the village. People, like the students, take very long time to reach the school. So usually the girls, they don't even finish their education because you find that they get married too quickly, and because it's just so strenuous to walk this long route each and every day. And when they come back from school, they have to go down to the river to fetch water, which is also a long way down to the river. When they come back, they have to go up to the mountain to get firewood. Like there has been the chores there for the girls are just too much. And when I go back today, they're still like that. And so I think I learned about solar energy that about when I was still very young. This solar technologies that were coming in, and that is when I got intrigued about solar. And growing up, I started this company. Well, Mahlasedi Energy is a renewable energy company that provides solar solutions as well as water and electricity solutions in Lesotho. We provide solar submersible pumps, water fittings, pipes to farmers.
Sorry, we seem to have lost your audio. If you can hear me, we seem to have lost. Yes, can you hear? Now we can hear you. You can proceed.
Yeah, I can't see my screen. Okay, I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So we also do spring catchments for in rural communities for clean water and sanitation. We provide solar lanterns and solar kits for off-grid communities. We also build off-grid solutions for businesses, for homes, for rural school electrification, for clinics. We provide water heating solutions such as heaters for hotels and guest houses in Lesotho. Our goal is to achieve access to reliable energy in Lesotho as well as clean water and sanitation. Can we go to the next slide, please? So our entrepreneurial journey, I'm using my phone, so I'm just gonna have to maybe use it. Mahlase Energy has witnessed substantial growth since establishment in 2019. During this period, we have moved from being a home-based company that offered only solar products. So we were working from home, selling these small solar lanterns, small solar kits, to a company that now provides renewable energy. So, sorry, can you do this? I'm sorry about that. We now provide solar solutions to the supermarket through our store based at in Liribe, Hlotsekem, Lesotho. So in this period, we have raised over 500,000 from the local and the international market to expand the business. We are also an internationally recognized firm trained by the SAPP Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. In 2020, the business won the business plan competition. This was 100,000 crowdfunding, which was able to purchase the solar product in Lesotho. However, since solar products can be a bit expensive, we're still working from home to be able to control our
We have lost Miss Matsepiso. Am I also audible?
Yes, you are audible.
All right. We have lost Matsepiso. I think there is a connectivity. I think there's a connectivity issue on her side. Matsepiso, can you hear us? We would have definitely loved her to complete her testimony in Lesotho. However, with the connectivity issue that she's experiencing, we will move on to our next testimony. And our next testimony comes from Ms. Celinda Pena, who is the director of Cyclovoltaico LDA, and I hope I have pronounced that correctly. She will be giving a testimony all the way from Angola. And if we can welcome Ms. Celinda, we will give Ms. Matsepiso an opportunity to complete her presentation as soon as her connection is fixed. Thank you so much. Miss Celinda, are you ready? Is Miss Celinda with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Your volume is very low. Can we increase your volume?
Now
We
can you hear me?
Try again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. Yes, let's proceed with your presentation.
Okay. Unfortunately, I could not send my PowerPoint, and I think you don't have my.
Oh, your audio is really bad.
Mind that, I guess. And even now. Hello.
Try to say something. Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but the audio is really bad. Is there a way you can improve your speaker?
Let me try something.
All right, while we're waiting for you, is Ms. Tepiso back online?
But
Yes,
I
I'm back.
think now you can
Tepiso?
see. Is it?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
Unless she's okay. All right.
Miss Celinda, let's try.
Yeah. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you a lot better now.
Okay. As I was saying, I think you don't have my PowerPoint there because I couldn't manage to send it earlier, and I'll make my presentation in Portuguese. I guess because I'm usually in Portuguese, I don't speak English very well. Hello?
It is absolutely fine for you to present in Portuguese. We will switch and listen to the translators.
Ok. Chamo-me Celinda e sou licenciada em Ciências Naturais e Geofísica. Eu já tenho interesse
Sorry,
na
Miss
área de energia solar faz tempo.
Sorry, Miss Celinda, if you can just
Comecei, na
pause.
verdade,
Our
no ano.
interpreter's volume is very low. Can we increase the volume so that delegates can hear?
Ok.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. If you can increase it, that will be great.
Ok. Como eu estava a dizer, criei o meu interesse em energia solar desde o ano de 2018. Foi aí onde criei a iniciativa de criar uma empresa relacionada à energia solar. E quando fiz a minha licenciatura, fiz o meu curso o meu projeto final em algo relacionado à energia solar, na qual tive um certificado como melhor projeto e ganhei interesse, visto que Angola é um país que ainda carece muito desse atendimento de energia. Em alguns pontos do país não temos energia elétrica, então eu acredito que a melhor forma de fazer chegar até lá é a implementação de energias fotovoltaicas. Então, desta feita, criei uma empresa relacionada a energias solares e que faz esse trabalho de consultoria. De princípio, tive algumas dificuldades, porque mesmo depois da consultoria, tínhamos alguns contraversos na questão de aquisição de material para a instalação do sistema. Aqui temos sim alguns materiais, mas devido à falta de indústrias na qual fabricam esses materiais, então os materiais que estão aqui, como painéis solares, inversores, controladores de carga, baterias, ainda continuam sendo muito caras, então a aquisição do mesmo sistema tem sido um pouquinho complicado e quase que não tinha clientes nessa área, então decidi expandir o serviço para construção civil, além de energia solar. A empresa também presta serviço, na verdade, presta serviço em energia solar, em construção civil. Desculpa, em construção civil. Então, na verdade, o nosso país precisa, o meu interesse é mesmo na verdade, o meu interesse na energia solar é para ajudar aquelas pessoas que não têm possibilidades ou capacidade em ter eletricidade em sua casa. Então, um sistema fotovoltaico, visto que é um sistema durável, poderia muito ajudar, principalmente as pessoas que estão em áreas rurais. para a implementação de alguns projetos que eu tenho, falta-me apenas financiamento e não só força de vontade tenho, falta-me apenas financiamento e tenho e também chegar até algumas outras pessoas, em particular mulheres que estão interessadas, por acaso já me deparei com umas que estão interessadas em fazer parte deste projeto e, na verdade, como o que interessa mesmo é emancipar a mulher na jornada empresarial, no nosso caso, no que tem a ver com energia solar. Então, o objetivo final é continuar a expandir essa área de energia solar. Até agora é tudo que tenho a dizer e obrigada pela atenção. Hello?
Thank you. Hi. Thank you for that testimony. The translations volume was quite low, so we could just get bits and pieces of your testimony, but we'll be happy for you to send through your presentation so that we can share with everyone. Can I check if Ms. Ayanda Mvimbi is online? Ms. Ayanda has joined as a delegate. Can we unmute her if she's muted? Ms. Selinda, thank you so much for your testimony and your participation on the webinar. While we are checking that, let me go back to Ms. Matsepiso. Ms. Matsepiso, can we give you the opportunity to finish your presentation?
Yes, I'm back. Thank you very much.
Thanks. And then if we can go back to that slide she was presenting, and after that, Ms. Ayanda, if you are online, I will call you next.
Yeah, this slide. So in 2020, please go back. Go to the first slide. Yes, this one. In 2020, no, the next slide. Yes, this one. In 2020, we won the Betco Business Plan competition of 100,000 in grant funding, where we were able to purchase solar products and start selling. At that time, we were only doing sales, and we are not doing any installations. We're just doing sales of solar products, solar lanterns, etc. In 2021, we officially registered the company with the Ministry of Trade and became a subcontractor for our sister company working with the Lesotho Electricity Company. We also officially registered contractor under the category C with the Department of Rural Water Supply with the Ministry of Water. We opened an office in Ribe, where an office and some sort of a warehouse where we can be accessible to our clients. And then in 2022, we also established electrical, water, solar solutions, hardware in Ribe through investment acquired from the Africa Trust Group of 450,000 rand. The funds with this investment, every month we reinvest 8% of this investment back into the Africa Trust Group, and the money that we invest into the trust is being used to fund other women-led agri and energy businesses across Africa. Can you go to the next slide, please? So this is an overview of our products and our services. We sell solar fittings there. And then there's the second picture of a woman in a rural community next to a spring catchment. When we are doing these installations of spring catchments in rural communities, we don't only work with men, also with women. That is our solar geyser. We get it straight from the manufacturer. We wanted our own type of geyser that will be able to sustain Lesotho some very cold weather conditions, especially in winter. So this is our solar geyser that is able to sustain the weather conditions in Lesotho of a very high quality. It can also be able to use electricity from the national grid, the Lesotho Electricity Corporation, if the weather conditions get too cold and the water temperatures cannot be heated. We also sell a variety of solar products, as you can see, and we have those solar lanterns and solar home kits for the rural.
All right, we've lost Matsepiso again. What a beautiful.
Again, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back
Here she
again.
is. Okay.
Wow. Let's try and wrap it up quickly before it disappears. So we have this solar lantern so that the woman can light her house, her children can do their homework, and also it's able to charge the phone and listen to the radio so that they can be up to date with the latest trends in technology. I cannot see what the next slide is saying. Can you please move to the next slide? Am I still audible?
Yes, you can. You are still audible. Please proceed.
Can you just tell me what I cannot see the shared screen. Can you just tell me what the next slide was?
You are speaking about access to finance.
Oh, on the next slide, I was speaking about access to finance. So our first access to finance, when I started this business, I had no finance at all. So the first, I wrote a business plan, entered a business plan competition by African Development Bank, hosted by the Lesotho Enterprise Development Corporation. And fortunately, I was one of the winners of that business plan competition with 100,000 funding grant. So this one we were not supposed to pay back, and 80,000 of this funds I bought solar products, variety of them. And,
okay, we are losing you coming in and out. And this testimony was beginning to be quite exciting. We are going to move on to Ms. Ayanda Vimbi. I just want to check with admin if we have been able to allow her to speak.
Yes, she's an audible.
All right. Great. Let's welcome Ms. Ayanda Vimbi. She's from the UN Women Generation Equality Program. She can share with us the programs that they're putting in place to support women's participation in the region's energy sector.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I hope you can all hear me.
We can, absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting us. So I work for UN Women South Africa Multi-Country Office, which is based in Pretoria, but we work in Lesotho, Eswatini, Botswana, Namibia as well. But also, as you know, we do have a presence in the Eastern, Central Africa and West Africa and the rest of Southern Africa in terms of our work. So I'm going to start off by just highlighting why this is important discussion for UN Women. And we all know that we are fast approaching Sustainable Development Goal 2030 deadline. But we also know that we are way behind in terms of achieving that. And also the other thing that we know is that we know that we're not going to be able to achieve Sustainable Development Goals without addressing Sustainable Development Goal number 5. And in particular, in the context of our discussion today, the issue of gender gaps in wealth and income are critical to us. And so the key strategy for us is ensuring that we work with our partners from government, from private sector, from women's associations in investing in women's economic empowerment. Because all the research that has been done in this area of work has demonstrated to us that investing in this particular area of work will ensure that we go a long way towards gender equality, women empowerment, and poverty eradication. But also, importantly, the issue of inclusive economic growth. So we know from research that you have done is that diverse economies, they grow, they have the more potential to grow and be bigger and create more employment and hopefully decent employment, because that's also very critical. But also they will increase the potential to create wealth and income. And so I want to highlight a few things for this discussion today, because the question is, why the energy sector? And I should say that we've worked as UN Women in South Africa Multi-Country Office. We've worked in the energy sector since 2017. And the idea behind our work is that we believe that it is important to set out transformative targets. So we started doing a baseline on what is happening in the energy sector in general, but also specifically, we were looking at the time at the renewable energy sector. So if you think about it, this sector obviously is a high value chain sector. It has more potential in terms of creating employment and transformative change that we require. But if you look at the participation of women in that sector, you then realize that we're not going any further than, in general, 3% participation of women-owned entities. And I also want to just say that when I talk about women-owned entities, I talk about different levels, different typologies. So I'm not talking about a homogeneous group. There is very micro, there is small, there's medium, there is large. But if you do an analysis of what is happening in the sector, there's just limited participation and benefit of women in the energy sector. And it is for this reason why it is important, and it was important for us to invest in mainstreaming strategies in the energy sector, working very closely with Department of Energy at the time. You might know in South Africa and be aware that they have the energy sector gender mainstreaming and economic empowerment strategy that will help to put in place. This is important because so if you really look at what strategies are going to enable us to bring about the transformative change in the different sectors, we need different levels of engagement. And in all our work that we have done on gender responsive procurement as a key lever and strategy to enhance economic empowerment, simply because of the sheer size of both public and private procurement. And so we looked at 4 key things that needs to happen. One, institutions need to be very clear and intentional about what they want to achieve. And the intentionality is translated into the high-level political commitment, which is critical, but also outlining what that is in black and white, on paper. What are we trying to achieve? What are the targets? What is our baseline? What are the timeframes? What do we need to do? How do we address structural barriers for women-owned enterprises, at which level, geographic focus, and all those key things needs to happen. And also, how do we work with people, human resource in these institutions, to ensure that they have the right information, capacity to be able to do that. So that's the first thing that needs to happen. The second thing that needs to happen is that we need to have partnerships, collaborative partnerships that work. So we need to, and I'm glad for this platform because it provides us with more network on how we engage and problem solve on the issues that we're raising. Who do we work with? How do we work? What needs to be done? How do we ensure that we don't duplicate? Where are the gaps? How do we work with the women's associations in particular? Because I want to highlight that as a really important strategy that UN Women has used to ensure that we advance this work. The third thing that I want to highlight is the issue of evidence and data. It's really important, and a lot of times we go to platforms and everyone says, oh, we have so many opportunities, but when you dig deep and understand what is happening, where the opportunities and so on, you just got lost in the maze and you don't know. So it's important in the work that we have done with the Women Economic Assembly is to zoom in the electricity sector, for instance. And so how is this sector structured? What are the policies? What are the issues? Where are the women? Where are the opportunities? Like a granular information of what it is. And this is important because the ultimate goal is not just connecting women to opportunities, but the work that needs to happen in understanding what's happening in each value chain and what relevant and appropriate strategy needs to be employed. And the last thing that I want to mention in relation to this is the issue of capacity building. We cannot underestimate the importance of investing in skills, knowledge, including access to finance and all different components of capacity for women-owned businesses. Because if we are talking about a sector that's only on average at 3%, the question is, how do we ensure that we reach 50%? So it's not going to happen by miracle, although miracle would help and assist in this way, but it is really going to work if we have very clear intentions and we invest resources to ensure that we have capacity. We also address the issue of capacity of implementers, the advanced norms and the discrimination of women-owned enterprises, and all other things that are in between. That's important. So yeah, that's really what I want to highlight for this conversation. And just thank you and do apologize for not being able to engage thoroughly with this process as I am in another meeting, but I think this is a really critical conversation that we really want to engage with. As you know, energy is one of big sectors that we need to problem solve and find solutions on how it is transformative and responds to the big issue of women's economic and financial inclusion. Thank you so much, colleagues, for listening. And thank you for the invite.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ayanda, and thank you for your continued support and commitment in promoting gender equity across multiple industries. We are really grateful for your support, and we're grateful that you could invest time to join us and share your perspectives on the necessity to include or to create inclusive ecosystems and those pillars that you mentioned that ensures that gender equity is not a social corporate investment issue, but it is seen as a business imperative. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, colleagues.
Great. Delegates, we have heard from our OEM that Rockwell Automation, Miss Amelia, shared how Rockwell Automation partners with entrepreneurs in Southern Africa and how you can prepare yourself to qualify for their channel partner program and how they support you through skills development and access to technology to be able to trade in the market using their technology. We have also heard from Ms. Inka, who shared insightful stats coming from a study they conducted with Enasia on the participation of women in renewable energy globally. And we have seen the gaps that the study has unveiled. And she has also shared with us insights that will help us inspire and motivate and advocate for women's participation, as she described the important economic role that women play in industry. This was followed by inspiring testimonies from Malawi, from Tanzania, from Mozambique, from Lesotho, from Angola. And these are entrepreneurs that have indeed invested themselves to break the boundaries and the barriers and to chart a course for their entrepreneurial success. And I hope you have been as inspired as I have been. And we look forward to hosting you again in our next webinar. We've concluded with quite an inspiring and very strong conversation with Ms. Ayanda. I invite you to look out for our survey, which will be sent shortly after the webinar, inquiring of your experience on the webinar, the information you have received, the presentation you have received, the testimonies that you have that have been shared. Help us improve the information that we curate for the platform so that we can consistently improve and ensure that these webinars continue to be empowering and to enable you to forge ahead and to state your mark in Africa's energy and power sector. From me and the team, we thank you for investing time to join us. We thank our technology partner for helping us deliver the webinar, and we look forward to hosting you on the 25th of April at our next webinar. Good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.